The evolution of powers in man's body. The evolution of outer powers happens in all living beings, especially in animals' body. But animals do not have ascendant transmutations from outer powers to inner ones like man does, except some animals, the four sacred ones, namely dragons, tigers, turtles, and eagles, and some domestic ones which live in man's affection. As a sacred creature, man lives with the four sacred substances which are related to the effects and actions by the divine supermind. Man acquires them by way of his invisible organs, the heart and the mind. Consequently, outer powers transmute into inner ones, and the two invisible organs contain natural powers and invisible powers. Thanks to this, man dominates over all other creatures on the earth. All powers and energy of man, the small cosmos, and the great cosmos have neither shapes nor outer aspects. Footnotes. To the optical sense of the flesh body, supernatural powers have no shapes, but in reality they do have shapes and animate in the supernatural world as electrons, protons, and neutrons. They have supernatural shapes and their own supernatural powers. End of footnote. The sacred powers are invisible. Their speed can penetrate through all shapes. The four sacred powers in man's body are refined power, Chi's power, electric power, and light's energy. All have no shape. Having life's powers but without shape, they are sacred powers. For example, the will, determination. The will is not an abstract power. It is instead a real power formed by Chi, superpower, or by electric, mystic power, or by the light, cosmic energy. It is a supernatural power constituted by supernatural powers with different levels of intensity and duration. It comes from the heart and the mind, which direct one's efforts towards some objectives such as ideal, supernatural truth, or genuine cause, or Tao's cause. Influenced by the supernatural power of the will, people who hold within a will are less absorbed or engrossed in sensual covets, or not greedy with selfish desires beyond reason, or even better, can end easily his sensual desires. The will transcends a weaker power into a stronger one in terms of intensity, but lighter in terms of substance. This has an effect on the person who feels freely and light at his upper part, while the lower part of the body trunk seems to disappear or feels like it disappears. The will is a real, invisible, and sacred power that provides for men a belief directed at an attention, an intention, a purpose. This power comprises of three forms: superpower, mystic power, and cosmic energy. The intensity of the will is created by many different sources: ideal, supernatural truth, meaning genuine cause, or Tao's cause. Ideal belongs to the sentimental, moral, and intellectual life and originates from visible outer shapes of external sceneries. Supernatural truth, or genuine cause, a part of the sentimental, moral, and intellectual life, and the spiritual life, which are provided by both external sceneries and internal visions. Tao's cause belongs to only the spiritual life and is invisible, such as the life, the perpetual life. Ideal gives will to human beings. If the ideal persists, the will continues to exist. If the ideal lasts long, the determination increases the inner powers. If the ideal fades away, the will comes to an end. The genuine cause and Tao's cause also create determination as well. If the goal persists, the genuineness persists, and the Tao's characteristics always animate. Thus, they become faith. Therefore, faith is the will as well, and life's activities animate thanks to an invisible power. The psychological power, or power of the heart. It is also an invisible power, mightier than material powers. In other words, the psychological power is more powerful than refined power, i.e., the power of the heart is stronger than bodily power. Take the example of a normally healthy person who never runs over a long distance. He takes unusual trouble to run 10 kilometers and then feels so much tired. That exhausting effort causes heart pains, but his case is not as serious as another person who feels a deep resentment or is choked with anger or writhed by an insult, one of which may cause heart pain and damage in a few seconds. The psychological power is an invisible and supernatural power of qi and electric in the nervous system, brain, and in the qi and electric vessels. It is influenced by objects or visible shapes that arouse inner powers into action and for that reason make the flesh body suffer a persistent pain. If the heart feels sick, the body suffers too. This correlative influence results from feelings. Some strong feelings are real disease-causing agents, which are the invisible powers of qi and electric, which then affect and trouble the flesh body energetically. Psychological pains and diseases can be cured only with psychological means. The chaos of electric and qi can be brought back to normalization of the electric and qi inner currents because the powers of the heart are invisible mystic and superpowers. Footnote: the normalization of the disorder of electric and qi inner currents can be done by many processes. By natural suspension of consciousness, let the patient sleep for a long time. The animations of electric and qi become regular and well-ordered. By guiding or directing the heart and the mind of the patient towards unaccustomed psychological activities, or by directing the patient towards spiritual activities in order to eliminate the harmful feelings. End of footnote. The psychological power gets animated by electric and qi. They are lighter than liquid, but their power is stronger. They move in the nervous system, brain, and their own qi and electric vessels, but they are capable of causing direct impact to viscera and organs. The psychological power transmutes from outer power into inner one, and it is the first inner power that is transmuted from refined power. As a superpower, it is a mixed power of qi and electric, which has stronger intensity than that of refined power. In summary, the psychological power is animated by qi and electric, animates in the nervous system, brain, and their own electric and qi vessels, and exerts direct influence to the flesh body. The agitation of psychological power is feelings. Footnote: feelings are the shake of psychological power. They have two types of influence on the flesh body. Such feeling as elation, happiness, joyfulness, and love give best healthy conditions to the flesh body, while such feelings as haste, excessive eagerness, worry, anxiety, fear, panic, terror impair the functions of the flesh body, or more severely, may cause internal injuries to the flesh body. End of footnotes. Physically, the feeling is an invisible power that influences directly the shape and the physical structure of the body. The feeling gets animated by qi and electric. If the animation does not damage the flesh body, it will give the body good proportion and healthiness. But if qi and electric shake energetically in their circuits, they can cause harms to the flesh body. Moral power. Moral power is constituted by psychological power, or psychological power transmutes into a mightier one, which is the moral power. Moral power is located in the heart and in the mind, the two invisible organs that contain the animations of electric and light. The animation of the electric in the heart is virtues or wickedness, evilness. The animation of the light in the mind is thoughts. The substance of moral power is electric and light, but its powers characters are virtues or wickedness and thoughts, and its characters energy, the energy of virtues or wickedness and thoughts, are mystic powers. In man's body, moral power moves in the nervous system and brain, but it exerts its influence over the visceral organs and chi and electric vessels, as well as over the chi body, liquid body, and flesh body. It is hard to perceive the correlation between the substance and the character of the invisible powers. In the animation of the invisible powers, if there is much substance, so is character, and vice versa. If the character is much, so is the substance. The substance or the substance essence. The substance of moral power are electric and chi. If the animations of electric and light are mighty, the intensity of virtues or wickedness, evilness, and thoughts is strong too, and vice versa. If a person possesses many virtues, or a lot of wickedness, evilness, and strong thoughts, the intensity of his electric and light will be high too. Moral power is a mystic power. It moves internally in the flesh body, but animates externally and in the supernatural world. It is able to persist, or in other words, it is capable of animating for a longer period than psychological power. This means that the animating time of virtues and thoughts in the two cosmoses lasts longer than those of feelings and sensations. The mightier the power is, the bigger force it exerts into life's powers and the life, either detrimentally or beneficially to the flesh body and the other kinds of body. It is the motivation of electric and light to life's powers. If this motive force reaches a high degree, it may lead to wonders or miracles, extraordinary events. The motive force of an energetic thought, combined with a strong feeling such as resentment or choked-up anger, may cause a person to lose consciousness, to get disease, or even die suddenly. It is the damage done by electric and light, which influence the life's powers of the flesh, liquid, and chi bodies. On the contrary, the motive force of a vibrant thought, if combined with an outstanding virtue or character, such as humanitarian love, may cure immediately some incurable diseases. It is also thanks to the electric and light created by transcendent virtues and thoughts that have high intensity and long duration. These electric and light radiate, pass through, and exterminate the microbes or viruses, thus curing the disease. The animation of mystic power, moral power, influences the surrounding environment to the extent in which the mystic power animates. Its detrimental or beneficial aspects cause an effect to the surrounding environment of the natural and supernatural worlds. Footnote: Since long, sorcerers and witchcrafts have used mystic power to inflict casualties or influences on people. On the opposite, some of them and conscientious physicians have used mystic power to cure serious diseases resulting from abnormal disorder of electric and chi in human flesh body. These people apply the radiation of electric and light spreading from their nervous system and brain to perform those deeds. End of footnote. Spiritual power. Spiritual power is constituted by moral power. In other words, moral power transmutes into spiritual one. Its substance is the light, and the invisible organs that contain the animation of the light are the supernatural character, the mind, the supermind, and the supermind. In man's body, these invisible organs animate only in the brain, but they exert their influence onto the nervous system, visceral organs, electric and chi vessels, and in the electric, chi, liquid, and flesh bodies. The spiritual power concentrates on the head. Compared with the body, the head occupies a small volume. However, it contains the mightiest and highest substance of all the four sacred ones in the cosmos and the other substances on the earth. The substance of the spiritual power is the light. Nothing can destroy the light. No energy can annihilate the spiritual power. Similarly, no substance can abolish or annul the thoughts of man. Even man himself cannot destroy his thoughts once they are formed in his mind. The only effective way is to forget them and not to recall them. However, forgetting does not mean that the thoughts are completely destroyed, because they can still be recalled. The animation of the spiritual power has three aspects. In terms of substance, it is the animation of the light. In terms of character, it is the life. But the animation of the life in man is thoughts. These thoughts are no longer related to any body except to the light body, because these thoughts have no relation to sensations, feelings, virtues, or wickedness of an individual ego or social ego. In terms of its character's energy, it is a cosmic energy created by the animation of the light, but it is the kind of cosmic energy animating in human head, nothing more than the life in the flesh body, and not yet the cosmic energy in the whole cosmos. If the thoughts that get animated by the spiritual power or cosmic energy are not related to sensations, feelings, virtues, wickedness, or evenness of individual ego, but instead to heaven, earth, and man, belonging to the cosmos itself, they are in natural association with Tao's characteristics, or they are the thoughts of cosmic character in man's character. In this case, the spiritual power animated by these thoughts unites with the cosmic energy. Man and cosmos join together by the unification of substance, character, and character's energy through the brain. Summary of the evolution of powers in man's body. Outer power generates and transmutes into others, which become inner powers. From refined power comes the psychological power, then comes the moral power, and then the spiritual power. 2. All powers animating in the whole body concentrate onto the brain. 3. The flesh body has a large size, but its powers move and animate in a small space. But when the powers concentrate in a smaller volume, brain, they animate in an extremely large space, the lighter bodies and the whole cosmos. 4. The refined power transmutes into super one, the superpower, mystic power, and cosmic energy. 5. Which sacred substance has lighter essence or substance, its power is mightier. 6. All energetic powers are drawn to and concentrated onto the brain. The spreading of powers from the flesh body. The spreading of one sacred substance or many from the flesh body is not a definite separation of those powers from the flesh body, but instead is caused by the radiation of one substance or many. Those powers still animate automatically in their circuit within the flesh body, and the power of each substance gets mixed up with their corresponding one outside the body. In man's body, the radiation is the spreading of the invisible power of a sacred substance when the substance acquires an extreme intensity. Only the 4 sacred substances in man's body can spread from the flesh body by radiating. The radiation of the 4 sacred substances. 1. When a substance radiates, primarily it must be equalized with the same substance in the cosmos. 2. When there is no circuit, the animation circuit of the yang and that of the yin of the substance unite at a very small point. The intensity of the substance increases extremely in order to radiate. 3. Being moving in a very static state, the life powers of sacred substance cease to move and become very static. The life in life powers begins to animate and the radiation happens. Similarly, in blood circulation, if the black fluid and the red blood stop circulating in their circuits, hon and tan emanate. In other words, when the life power of a sacred substance, blood, ceases to animate, the life of the life power of blood, which are hon and tan, separate from the flesh body. Similarly, in the substance of qi, when the circuit of inhalation and exhalation stop, the sacred power of the 2 alternative breathings or of qi emanate. The sacred power of yang qi and yin qi is via. When via spreads out, it simultaneously pulls other powers, hon and tan, out from the flesh body. 4. The radiation of power of a sacred substance happens when the power has been gathered and its intensity is mightier than that of the same substance in the outer cosmos. A. If human electric equals cosmic electric, there is no radiation yet. B. If human electric is more than or greater than cosmic electric, its radiation happens. At the excessive intensity, the greater intensity of human electric gets mixed up to the cosmic energy when it radiates. And the excessive intensity, the greater intensity of human electric gets mixed up to the cosmic energy when it radiates. Normally, the powers of the 2 cosmoses equalize, and the 4 sacred substances in the 2 cosmoses are equal in terms of value and quality. However, if man can gather a mightier power hidden in other sacred substances in a unique invisible organ, the gathered power is stronger than usual and the newly formed power can radiate. For example, if human electric animating in blood and qi is gathered towards the heart, it has higher intensity than usual, therefore human electric of the heart radiates. All human electric in the whole body is attracted to the void state of the heart and gathers there. Yang electric and yin electric unite, and human electric radiates out of the flesh body. Another example, when the light hidden in blood, qi, and the heart, the nervous system, is gathered into the brain, the gathered light in the mind reaches a higher intensity than in its normal state in the 2 cosmoses, and thus the light radiates. The process of the radiation of a sacred substance. 1. Equalization of the 4 sacred substances of the 2 cosmoses. 2. When the power of a sacred substance is stronger than the equalization, the substance radiates. 3. The excessive energy of the radiating substance gets mixed up with the same substance in the cosmos. 4. The 2 cosmoses transmute in descendant and ascendant ways in synchronization to evolve, but in man's body, The radiation is a phenomenon that is caused by the gathering beyond the level of equalization of a substance hidden and animating in other substances. And 5. The two substances that radiate in the atmosphere are liquid, blood, and qi. Qi in breathing, in flavors, cereals, and Genesis qi. The two substances that radiate in the cosmos are electric and light. Electric radiates in the supernatural world, light in the supernatural world. The spreading of substances out of the flesh body, the death. The life of a person is the combined animations of sacred substances in the flesh body. The sacred substances transmute, the flesh body develops, and when the descendant transmutations reach their limits, the flesh body begins its cycle of decline, i.e., begins to deteriorate gradually and disintegrates. The decline of the flesh body has no influence on the four sacred substances, when yang and yin of these substances have already formed the life, or in other words, when the life powers of the four substances have transmuted and become invisible powers. Blood has generated Hon and Thân, Qi has brought Via into existence. In the flesh body, the sacred substances that have transmuted and become sacred powers have had the capabilities to separate and animate in the cosmos, around and on the earth. In man's activities, there are four states in which the sacred powers can spread out of or detach from the flesh body: being awake, being alive, sleeping, and being dead. In the first three states, being awake, being alive, and sleeping, the sacred substances have the capabilities to spread. In the death, A, the sacred substances detach or gradually flow out of the flesh body. B, each sacred substance is a power. Any power has its own life's power and life. The phenomenon of transmutation of man-made electric somehow resembles the spreading of sacred substances from man's body, even though they are not exactly identical in terms of the transmutation laws of man's power and energy. By friction, the magnet and metal, as heavy, visible substances, generate a new and lighter substance, which is electric, with higher intensity and higher speed. The electrons have a super-visible shape and move rapidly in metal wires. They constitute a new power of magnets and metal, and from its life power, the electron's motion, spreads a magnetic field. In other words, the magnetic field is really the life of electric, supernatural aspects. When the life of electric has spread, or when electric has generated the magnetic field, that life persists in space, even if the electron currents are interrupted. In other words, the electron is life's power, but the magnetic field is the life of electric, which still animates even after the electric currents stop. A, the death. The death is the final suspension state of the four sacred substances in the flesh body, caused by one of the substances, which is often blood, liquid. Liquid, blood, contains three other lighter substances, Qi, electric, and light, in its unit and unit circuit. The circuit of liquid ceases to move because of the weakness of its power, death happening in old age, or ends by some other powers, such as strong feelings or thoughts, which stop the motion of liquid in its circuit. Sudden death may be caused by choke with deep anger, deep resentment, or intense terror and panic. The substances of those feelings are Qi and electric, which oscillate energetically and interrupt the blood circulation of the heartbeats. In whatever way the death may happen, this is because of the interruption of the circulation of liquid in the flesh body. This is also the case of other sacred substances. If one of their circuits stops, the remaining substances halt as well, causing the complete cessation of other circuits. Liquid-related death. If the circuit of liquid is stopped or obstructed or interrupted by other powers or by the excessive unbalance of temperature in the flesh body, which results in the breaking of blood vessels, the death happens. Qi-related death. The circuit of qi is stopped by strangles, suffocation by toxic, poisonous air, or by choke of breathing, or by choke in water. Electric-related death. Thoughts with energetic agitation interrupt the electric circuits, and the death begins first from the nervous system, or human electric detaches from the brain and the nervous system. Two forms of the flesh body after the death: disintegration or being undamaged. 1. If one of the four sacred substances stops, the other substances in the flesh body will detach from the former substance after death, and the flesh body decomposes. 2. If yang and yin of a substance among the four unite with each other, its circuit haunts, but its power unit still animates. Therefore, even if its invisible power spreads out after death, the flesh body stays undamaged. Although the flesh body is not alive, the electric and light particles still animate in the brain and the nervous system. Therefore, the flesh body stays intact. 1. Form 1. After death, the flesh body begins to disintegrate. This phenomenon is similar to a water molecule, which contains many life powers, including qi, electric, and light. When water converts into a vapor, all powers detach from it without loss of energy. They gather in another state in a small quantity, but maintain the same intensity that can move in the greater space than its earlier one, meaning that qi joins qi in a greater extent around the whole earth. Qi joins qi. The same substance can unite with each other, but different substances can associate with each other only, in which the heaviest substance contains other lighter ones. For instance, man's blood contains qi, electric, and light. Identically, in man's body, the flesh body as the heaviest contains other substances. When the flesh body begins to disintegrate, the powers of qi, electric, and light detach gradually from the corpse into the atmosphere, in accordance with the environment where the corpse decomposes. The body contains other invisible, lighter parts, which are the heart and the mind. They are supernatural powers that animate in the flesh body. When the disintegration of the corpse takes place, the heart and the mind separate from the body as well and continue to animate in their new environment, the atmosphere. So, it suffices to say that in man's body, all life's powers animate in synthesis. When one of them stops, all other powers detach from the whole synthesis. The spreading substance possesses the capability to animate and move in a larger area than that of the living flesh body. 2. Form 2. The death happens in a sleep, a rest, or a state of inactivity. The circuit of liquid circulation of blood stops, but the two substances, electric and light, that have the supernatural and supernatural life powers still animate. The blood, therefore, is not decomposed, but gradually dries. The breath ceases, but the invisible powers of blood and qi, thân, hồn, vía, gather in the brain and the nervous system. This phenomenon reveals that all life powers of the flesh body stop, but their life still animates. The brain holds within itself the life of life's powers, and the nervous system conveys the life to life's powers. In such death, only the life, the two substances of electric and light, animate in the brain and the nervous system, no longer following their circuits in liquid, blood, and qi. Therefore, the powers of qi and liquid gather and spread out of the flesh body until the brain is no longer able to maintain electric and light. This may be caused by natural changes such as earthquakes, volcanoes, flood, deluge, etc., or by man's digging. These destructions make the energies of electric and light spread out of the brain. B. Each sacred substance is a power. Each kind of power has its own life power and life. Amidst the death of the flesh body, the sacred substances still persist, meaning that only the flesh body dies, and as a result, it is unable to maintain the sacred substances and their animation. Therefore, the substances detach from and spread out of the flesh body. In the phenomenon of detaching or spreading, the life powers and the life of the sacred substances join the same substances in the atmosphere or in the cosmos in order to evolve. Thanks to the animations of the four sacred substances, the intensity of life's powers and life increases. And thanks to the flesh body, the sacred substances can animate. Thus, the flesh body is where more powers of the sacred substances are produced. In other words, the flesh body is the intermediary place where the sacred substances transmute and evolve into powers and invisible organs such as thân, hồn, vía, heart, mind, supermind, and character to attain cosmic evolution. So, thanks to the flesh body, the evolution of the sacred substances can take place. From the essence of the sacred substances, miracles are produced, or the miracles in the character and character's energy are done by the sacred essences, which are thân, hồn, vía, the heart, the mind, the supermind, and the character. These invisible organs continue to exist after the death of the flesh body. Since the birth to the death of the flesh body, in a time length of a few decades to over 100 years, the sacred substances produce other supernatural and supernatural energies. Those energies persist after the disintegration of the corpse. Therefore, the death of the flesh body is really a change in the state of the substances in the function of evolution of the sacred substances in the cosmos. In other words, man's life possesses cosmic and sacred substances, and the flesh body is where those sacred substances transmute to become supervisible and invisible powers in accordance with the cosmic law of evolution of the divine mechanism. Therefore, the birth and the death of the flesh body are the processes of ascendant and descendant transmutations and also the evolution. Footnote: the three functions of the divine mechanism are descendant transmutation, ascendant transmutation, and evolution. The invisible and endless animation of these three functions is the divine cause. The divine cause is an invisible energy that puts the divine mechanism into motion. So, the death is not a bad thing. The birth and the death of the flesh body belong to fate, over which man can control, in order to develop rapidly the invisible powers that can persist. Even if he has no control over his fate, the invisible powers still evolve automatically by following the natural process of the sacred substances in the flesh body. End of footnote. Those are the three functions of the divine mechanism performed in the flesh body by the sacred substances of liquid, qi, electric, and light. In the three functions of the divine mechanism, whatever that belongs to the function of evolution persists, and whatever that is part of the descendant and ascendant transmutations belongs to the function of transformation.